Well, hey everyone, welcome to Saturday. Another week, and it's so nice to have all of you here. And this is Saturday night here in Australia. It's about just on 10 p.m. here, and just wanted to say g'day to everyone across the world. Welcome to the Geekery and the live stream. Sorry about last week, I didn't quite get it out in time. We had an election here in Australia, and it was a crazy day on the Saturday, so enough of the excuses anyway. It's don't forget to jump into the chat and say hi and let us know if you can hear me okay and everything's coming through okay. And I just thought I'd let you know what's happening this live stream. Obviously, with all of my live streams, I like to have you guys interact with me, so chatting away in the Q&A types thing, or just feel free to raise a topic and we can chat. But I'm also going to show a couple of things this week. I've got the Presonus Studio One 4.5 is out, only just came out a couple of days ago, and because I own Presonus Studio One 4, it was a free update for me, so we'll have a quick look at that. And for those who don't have Studio One or have never seen it before, this might be a good opportunity for you to have a look at another DAW other than the usual suspects that are out there. We also had a user request come in, and he asked if we could troubleshoot the Roland JD-XI, the connections. So we're going to go through that, and we're just going to go and show how that's all done. We can look at it on the Mac, we can look at it on Windows. So the JD-XI is here in front of me. I've got it plugged in. So that's going to be exciting, and believe it or not, there's no kind of synth news this week, other than the Presonus announcement. I think that Super Booth a couple of weeks ago stole all the news, basically, sucked all the news out of the atmosphere and created a black hole of vortex for the last week. Anyway, so it kind of worked out alright that we had a week off. I think we were all synthed out, weren't we? So don't forget to say hi and chat. There's a couple of people in the channel already, so be nice to say hi and see you all. Okay, so what are we going to do first? I think what we'll do first is my usual funny side segment. I don't know if you guys that are in the channel right now, if you've seen my live stream before, but I usually have, as part of the Geekery, I usually have a funny side segment where I show funny things, memes, that sort of stuff that's happened during the week that I thought was pretty funny. And yeah, sometimes I contribute to these, and in fact lately I've been pretty active with memes. And probably, if you follow my channel at all, you'll know that there's one topic that I've been very, very active with. So without further ado, let's get stuck. God, I'm having minced words already, pardon the pun. Let's get stuck straight into the funny side, and we'll go straight into this one. Yes, I don't know if you guys have been keeping abreast of the latest information from TC Electronics with this fantastic Juno-styled chorus pedal that they've been promising. Well, it's out in the wild now. They've actually made it, and people are getting them. And guess what? It isn't a Juno chorus. So, geez. So, you know, these are not the Juno chorus FX you were looking for, was my meme of the week. So if you guys understand how I guess this is for synth guys like me and many of us, we're a little bit disappointed that this thing isn't you know, an exact replica of the Juno chorus. I don't know if you've heard it. If you want to check it out, there's a video on my channel which shows you you know, what a Juno chorus sounds like, and also what this chorus pedal sounds like. So go check that out. Obviously it's yeah, a little bit disappointing, but anyway. So that's the first meme. I did that one. This one I thought was pretty funny. I don't know if you guys saw the mechanical synth at Super Booth, but this one is a bit of a funny spin on it. Yes, it's the fidget spinner mechanical synth featuring FSOs, fidget spinner oscillators. I thought that was brilliant. Yeah, my nerdiness got the better of me with that one. Sorry if you don't like it, but I do. And look, let's get straight into the last one. I've only got 3. This one I think we can all relate to. This one is us all queuing up for more gear, but the guy standing in the learning to use existing gear. He's got no one there. That's what we can all relate to. Who reckons that one is very true? Anyway, guys, that's the funny side segment for this week. It's always quick, but let me know. It's pretty quiet in chat today. I've just got some lurkers around. Be nice to see you guys jump in and join and say hi. All right, so let's get stuck straight into what we're going to go through this week, just to keep the show rolling. And what do we got here? Let me know in chat if the audio is coming through or anything like that. If I don't actually get anyone, I'm just probably going to check it out myself here. Let's see. I've got my phone in my hand. If I don't actually get anyone. There you go. Look at that. Beautiful. Audio's coming through, so I don't even need your help. Nah, just kidding. All right, let's have a look at Studio One 4.5 in all of its glory. There it is, guys. So yeah, let's have a bit of a squiz at this wonderful piece of DAW brilliance. And what we'll do is I think we'll just go to the full screen. Let's have a bit of a look. All right, so Studio One, what is it? Well, it's a DAW if you don't know, made by Presonus, and I like it. I think it's actually a pretty good DAW. It's an alternative to other ones that are out there. I think it's priced pretty good, and yeah, it's kind of, if you kind of want to get a feel for where it's at, it's kind of a cross between Cubase and I don't know, Cubase and maybe there's not really much Ableton in it. I don't think it's anything like Ableton in the way it works, but yeah, it's probably closer to Cubase than any of the others, I think. And I do like that because Cubase is pretty expensive. So yeah, what's new in 4.5, which I mentioned before, it's a free update that you can get if you've got Studio One 4 already. They've actually redesigned the whole input channel mixer section, which I've got now up on the screen. You can see my voice coming through on channel 3. Look at that, yay. And they've redesigned this whole input mixer section, which I'll go through in a sec. They've added some permanent gain and phase controls in every mixer channel. There's a new advanced group management feature, which we'll have a little bit of a look at. It's not really anything that majorly interesting, so we won't dwell on that. There's RMS metering per channel, pre-fader metering. There's sidechain routing as an alternate. And there's a whole bunch of these cool new node actions in MIDI, which is a big, cool new thing. I really, really like this. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff like independent quantized grids, chord auditions, independent macro toolbars. And the big one that they're saying about this is it's an update that actually improves on the CPU performance. So if you've got an older Mac or an older PC, this update is going to actually run faster. This is what they're claiming, and they've got some stats to back it up. So I guess now that we've got it out in the wild, we can definitely check that out. What else is there? There's a waveform snapping feature benefits. They didn't really have the greatest waveform snapping algorithm, so they fixed that. And this other thing that's in there is video export feature. So I don't really know much about that, but being a YouTuber, that might actually come in handy. I need to check that out. So do bear with me. This has actually only just been installed an hour ago. How you going, Jason? Thanks for jumping in and saying the audio is good. All right, so let's have a look at the input channel mixer section. Now, I think this is big. If you're using a DAW, you need to have a good, input channel mixer so that you can see what's going on. And this is where are we? I don't want to lose what I'm doing here. I guess the first big improvement is that they've paid attention to detail on this input channel. So you can access it from the I/O over here, and you go into audio I/O setup, and that's how you can set up all your input channels in here. We don't need to go into that. That hasn't changed, but it's a new design where you can set multiple inputs in a matter of seconds and then customize them with colors and unique names and all sorts of stuff. So that's all, you're able to do that through here. So where are we? Colors. Where's the color? There's the naming. There's the color. Okay. So let's just try a really bright color there, and terrible color there, and apply that, and then you can see there's our colors there. So that is kind of like Ableton, that part there, which it's nice having colors. What else? Unique names. So that was another thing, you can rename it. So we can call that. Hang on a sec. I've lost my keyboard. Here we go. Just give it a unique name. There you go. That's really easy. Wow, this is not groundbreaking, guys. But this is for people that have already got Studio One 4.0 and they know what I'm talking about. So don't fall asleep. Each input channel has its own gain control and a polarity switch, which is like a conventional mixer. So you've got your own gain control and the polarity switch, and where's the polarity switch? There's the polarity switch there. So you can toggle that. There's its gain control there, right? It does snap to 0 too, which is something that I like about software developers. If they make things snap to a 0, instead of me having to sort of muck around with my mouse until I get it right. What else we got? So if you've got a Presonus interface like Studio 192, which I've got, or any of their other mixers and things like that, it will actually control the preamps remotely, which is actually huge for me because I've got Presonus gear. If you don't have Presonus gear, that's cool. It doesn't sort of limit this at all. It's just that it gives you another benefit. But there's also permanent gain and phase controls on every mixer channel. And what else? I think that's probably about all that we really need to sort of go into major details with that. All right, so let's go back to our chat and see if everyone's still here and everything. Cool. All right, so who wants to have a look at the what are we looking at next? The grouping, advanced group management. So grouping in this is here. So definitely here, group selected tracks. So let's get, I'm trying to get my mouse working here. I've got two mice. I've got this thing called Synergy, which you can control multiple computers with the same mouse and keyboard, and sometimes it gets a bit crazy. All right, so let's group that, and we'll call that group 1. There we go. All right, now, where's my group management thingo? I've got to get that open on something else here. So there's track, there's groups, there we go. Okay. We can, wow, this is actually massive. There's a whole bunch of stuff now in here. Video, editing, volume, pan, all these group things in here. Okay, so what it does is each group can be defined as an edit group, okay? And then in arrangement and console view, you have a dedicated group list, which I think what they're trying to get at is it's probably sort of similar to the way Ableton 10 has got groups, so that they can say that they've got a similar feature, but it's not quite the same in terms of the way it looks. But with the groups, you can, I guess, activate and suspend and mute and all that sort of stuff at just one click. So for example, where are we? Yeah, you can see if as I'm toggling that there, down here, it turns it off and on. And yeah, so that's actually pretty handy, and you can turn it off in that view as well. I like that, that's actually nice. All right, what are we doing? Let's see what's happening. Cool. All right, so I think we'll leave Studio One for a sec because I'm not getting anyone in here who really wants me to try anything out. So we'll leave it running in the background, and if we need to come back to it, we can. What I think we'll do now is we'll go across and have a look at the JD-XI. Where is my JD-XI? There it is. Okay. Tell me if you guys can see this and hear this. There's the JD-XI. Okay. So what we're going to do with the JD-XI is I might actually do this through Ableton. Because I want to show the JD-XI as an instrument, and Ableton's probably more familiar with you guys. Who thinks Ableton would be better? We'll come back to Studio One later. Let's close Studio One. No saves, no saves. Okay. All right, now let's launch Ableton. Just to let you guys know, Ableton 10 is only new for me. It's brand new. As in, I've only just literally purchased the update or the upgrade from 9 to 10. So this is all going to be very, very new to me. So let's just switch over to Ableton 10 so you guys can see it. So there's Ableton 10. Now this is the Suite edition. Doesn't mean it tastes any nicer. It certainly didn't taste nice with the bank account. Okay, so I need to see in here if I can see my JD-XI, and there's a couple of ways you can do this. So if you go Command, comma, or if you're on a Windows PC, it's Control, comma, it brings up your preferences. So I'm glad that actually still works in an Ableton 10 because I was going to look like a fool then. And if you click on MIDI, there's a JD-XI there. Okay, so it is actually showing as an input and an output. Now on the output I've got track, sync and remote selected. It's probably remembered it from the last time I connected it, which has pulled that from Ableton 9, which is pretty actually impressive. The reason why I've got those three selected is if I start and stop the transport in here, that will actually I can set my JD-XI to start and stop based on the settings built into that. So how do you do that is probably the first question that most people are going to ask. Right, so if you go into the JD-XI and you go into the menu, so you click menu, and then I'm flying blind here, I haven't done this for ages. I think it's under system, and then you've got to go it's under MIDI. Okay, so MIDI, until we get to sync mode master. Okay, so now we need to change that to slave, and then you click exit. Okay, now if I click on the transport on here, cool. All right, now it's set to slave. and then we need to go to clock source MIDI. No, I need to change that to USB. Done. Now, cool. So I'm going to hit the play button on Ableton. So let's just switch over to there. So you can see, here's my mouse. Where is it? There. And I'm going to hit this play button. Like that. And I'm just going to go back to the JD-XI so you can see what you want to look for is this here lighting up. Okay? Let's go. Beautiful. So that's how you can control the JD-XI actually starting and stopping from your Ableton. And the other benefit too is that you can set the tempo and everything inside Ableton or your other whichever DAW you're using, and that will actually control it. So let's try faster tempo. Let's try like 144. Let's try slowing it down. So that's working beautifully and it's instantaneous. Cool, cool. All right, and while we're also at it too, so one of the guys asked me about how do I get the audio to come through. Now this is one of those catch-22s. Do you want the audio coming out of the USB on this and going into your DAW, so it's like a digital audio, or do you want to plug the actual main outputs from the back using standard 1/8 inch audio cables and plug them into your interface or your mixer? In my case, I've got this going into a mixer, right? Drum should work. Cool. So I don't need to have the audio going through as a audio device, but this is where it gets a bit tricky, because some people do want to use the JD-XI as an audio interface. It actually does have an audio input on it. It's only mono, which is why it's got the vocoder. You can use the mic or you can use the input at the back. You can also use this as an audio interface and actually output your music from your computer through the output on this as well. Alright, so how do we do that? Well, let's go back to our Mac screen. And what we want to do is go back into preferences, and this is now where you go into the audio section. And instead of me using my mixer, which is a Fire Studio, I'm going to change it to another audio device here. Now, notice how in mine it doesn't show up. Okay, and that's because probably don't have the JD-XI audio driver installed on this, which means that you'd have to go to the Roland website and download it and install it. And I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that here. Let's have a quick look. I was actually hoping that it was installed. Just let me check something out. Ask in the chat what if you guys have got a question about the JD-XI while we're at it too, because I think it's important. While we're doing that, I'm just going to go through into here, into the Mac, and see what's installed under Roland. Okay, it looks like I never installed the JD-XI driver. Cool. Well, why don't we do that? Okay. To do it, we need to download it from their website. So, Roland, I just Google Roland JD-XI, and usually the first site is their products page. Okay. You guys can see what I'm doing now. And then, where are we? Can't find my mouse. There we go. Click on downloads. This is so basic, this stuff. There it is there. So, JD-XI driver, version 1.02 for Mac OS 10.13 and 10.14. What version of Mac have I got? So it's easy to find out. I've got 10.13, which is called High Sierra, and I don't have the latest because this is an older Mac. I don't want to put the latest on here. But let's click on that. It should download it for us. Usually Roland will ask me to accept some sort of terms and conditions. Yeah, here we go. Tells us how to install here. Okay. So let's just read that because that actually might be important. Download the archive. Before you install, make sure you read the information. During the installation, I don't have Moog. So that's fine. Okay. I'm going to agree to sell my kidneys. Just kidding. Alright, so that's installed that. Let's go back to this screen while I've just grabbed that file and open it. And I think we'll shut down Ableton as well while we're at it as well, so we don't have anything running while we're installing. And because we don't want to have something getting in the way. Okay. Alright, click on transition, there we go. So there's the USB driver package there. My mouse keeps disappearing, there it is. So let's run that. It always wants a password. Oh, it wants me to restart. That's going to be annoying. In a live stream? Seriously, Roland? Restarting in this day and age? Come on. This is going to be painful. Okay, we're going to shut down live. Because I don't want that running. And let's go over to this screen while we're waiting. Hey 888 Berg, how you going? Oh, this is going to be interesting to see. I just got this error message. System extension blocked. A program tried to load a new extension by Roland Corporation. If you want these extensions, open security and privacy and preferences. Okay. So we're going to do that. Whoops. Sorry. Wrong button. And then you go and click allow. That's got that done now. Yeah, that's cool. And now it's happy. Okay. Now it wants me to restart my Mac. So let's do that. Restarting Mac. Don't worry, the stream is not running on the Mac. That's fine. I'm going to restart the Mac. Okay, while that's doing that, let's jump into chat room. See what's happening. Okay, so for those who have just joined, we are looking at the Roland JD-XI. Well, I just lost my microphone for a second there. And we are also checking out Ableton Live Suite 10 and Studio One 4.5, which has just been released by Presonus. The reason why I'm checking out Ableton 10 is because I've only just got it. And wow, then my mic just cut out again. That's because my Mac's starting up. And I'm logging back in. Yay. Hopefully I can get the Mac running again on the stream capture. Just give it a sec. So if you've got any questions about that stuff happening, let me know. Let me just double check how my stream's going. It says it's going good. cool. And there's not a very many people tonight. It's pretty intimate tonight. I know I didn't do it last week, but yeah, we had an election here in Australia, so it was really quite a busy day. We were going and voting and stuff going on, so that's why I didn't do it. Can't do it every day, every week. Okay, hopefully this works. Oh, I think I got it working again, and my live stream is still running. How cool is that? All right, brilliant. Okay, let's go into Ableton Live Suite 10. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. You guys can see what I'm doing now. And it'll look like a complete and utter fool because it probably won't work. But anyway, let's just try. Okay, so command, comma. No, not that. Over here. Command, comma. And still don't have audio. Interesting. All right. Let's go back here for a sec. Can we hear it? Can you guys hear me? Dup, bup, bup. Yep. Okay. Where is it gone? I'm just having a little trouble here right now. Am I getting any audio? No. That's very strange. I've just restarted my Mac and now I've lost audio. Oh, there we go. Hello, you snappers. All right, I think that's working again. Wow. That was really weird. Okay. So, you know, look, even I get issues. And okay. So I just wanted to check to see if my driver's installed, and you can see here it's got JD-XI driver. Come back, mouse. So there's the JD-XI driver there. So, okay. It's installed. So another place you can look is in audio MIDI setup. And you can go and have a look in audio devices. Okay, I think there's another setting on this thing that I'm missing. Menu, system, USB drive. Ah, yes, that's right. I forgot about this. Okay, so this is vendor. You've got to change the USB driver on this to vendor, and then you got to click menu right, exit. Now I think you have to turn it off and on. Yes! Haha! I found it! Brilliant! Look guys, there it is down the bottom. There's the JD-XI as an audio interface down the bottom. Yes, I know I'm looking like an idiot, but I don't care. Yay! JD-XI! I can now select that as my input and output device. In fact, why don't I have the JD-XI coming in through Ableton, and then I'll have it going out through my mixer. Let's see if that will work. So that means we're going to need channel 1 and 2 here. Is that going to work? There you go. It works. Look at that. 888 Berg's asking, did you see the Behringer UBXA clone sound example? Yes, I did. I did see it. I was excited about that. It was very cool. So yeah, definitely excited about seeing that and getting one of those. Okay, so what we've done is we've installed the JD-XI driver on the Mac. We've installed it, and I've done it whilst I'm live streaming, and I've looked like an absolute fool, but I've shown you all the things that we trip over with, that you're going to trip over with at home as well. So now you know how to get it running as an audio interface. Now this is actually running as an audio interface in Ableton. Okay, yes, I know I've got my mixer as my output device, but if I had the JD-XI as an output device, you guys wouldn't hear me. So, alright, so that's one way of doing it. You can have audio coming through digitally through the USB port, and then you can have Ableton set up like that. So you've got the JD-XI as an input device, like that. The output device can be the JD-XI as well, which means then if that's your only thing that means the physical outputs here, and the headphones will be everything that's going through Ableton. Alright, but in my case, I've got it going through my Presonus Fire Studio or Studio Live, whatever it's called, mixer. And that's why you guys can still hear me. Okay, now the other benefit too is that sound that's going out of the JD-XI and into your DAW is 100% digital. It's clean as anything. There's not going to be any issues with the sound on that. But I think the negative of it is that you're not going to be able to multi-track that input. So if I was to go into input config, it only lets me have 1 and 2 inputs. So this is not like an MX1 where it's got multiple digital inputs. Okay, this is just the main mix that comes out of the JD-XI. So personally, I wouldn't do it this way. What I would do is I would have the JD-XI plugged into a mixer or your interface, and then you would select that as your as your sound source. In which case, I'll just bring my mixer up here, and then we can just then we've got the sound coming through. Now the sound is going to come out of the physical connectors out of the back here. That's where the sound comes out. All right. But how do I record that if I've got it going through a mixer? Well, that's why you've got your mixer set up with all your inputs like that. Okay. Actually, there's something that's new in Ableton 10 is that you can actually label these things. You didn't in the old one, in 9, you weren't able to label these. So that's really handy. And okay, so if I want, now I know the JD-XI is coming in on channel 9 and 10, which is that one. So you'll probably be hearing a double. That's a single kick sound. If I mute that, you'll just hear it single. And if I turn it on, you'll hear a double kick. That's actually the sound going out of the mixer, then back out again through my mixer's set up as an audio monitor as well. So you're just hearing the loop back, I guess you call it. And just to show you what I mean, it's on the mixer itself. See how I've got these two I've got these two Firewire symbols here. This is actually a Firewire mixer. Older technology, yes, I know. And that means that I'm listening to the audio coming out of the Mac through channel 1 and 2. and you can actually see channel 9 and 10 and channel 1 and 2 respond at the same time. Okay, that's all that is. So when you've got that sort of stuff going on and you're thinking to yourself, that sounds terrible, what do I do? You don't have to listen to it through your audio interface. You can listen to it directly through your mixer, or vice versa. You can have your mixer turned down so you can still hear it. All right. So that's kind of covering connections for MIDI, for transport, for audio interface, installing the software. So I think that's covering basically getting your JD-XI up and running. Now the next side of it is your JD-XI itself is huge in terms of what's under the bonnet of this thing, and it's got this tiny little menu system here which is very, very annoying to use. But I'm going to recommend, if you do have a JD-XI, to go to a website, and I'll link it in the description of the video later if you forget, but I'm going to show you on my screen here. It's called Linux Tech. Is it linux-tech.net/JD? Let me just find it. Hang on a sec. JD-XI Manager. Okay, he's changed it. Alright, so let's show you what this looks like. So there's the website address there. It's JD-XI-Manager. Come back here, mouse. .linuxtech.net. And this guy, I know this guy, he's actually really clever computer scientist. He's written, it's free, this software, an editor for the JD-XI, and I've done videos of this on my channel, so you can check out my videos on here. But basically, I'll just show you some screenshots. You can edit all that under the hood stuff on your JD-XI through here. There's the digital synth editor, the analog synth editor, the drums, and there's now a new section that he's just added called the effects editor, which is this one down here. So it's pretty cool. So that's the JD-XI editor. I would thoroughly recommend that you get a copy of that. Now this only runs on Windows, unfortunately. So yeah, if you've got a Mac. Hi David, how you going? If you've got a Mac, there is another one that you can get for Mac. See if I've got it in my App Store. I thought I installed it. Starts with an O. Yeah, here it is. I do have it. Hey, that is cool, and it's actually working. There we go. This is the Mac. It's a different guy that's made this, but this is the Mac one. This is called OK JD-XI Editor, and you get it from the App Store. I don't know if it costs money or not. I forget now, but yeah. So we can load any of these presets. What are we on now? We're on, let's do spaced. As I change the presets on here, it'll actually change it straight directly on the JD-XI. So I've just changed that to A03, and you notice it's A03 there. So it's instantaneous, and it tells you in here what your digital synths, analog synths, and drum kits are. Okay. Now if you click on that, it'll take you into an editor of the digital synth. You go back, you can do the two digital synths, you can do the analog synth. Notice how all the sliders and everything are all set to their values, okay? And drum kit editor is pretty big, but there's your drum kit. And also it does effects as well. So this is a pretty cool editor as well. So you do have one for Mac if you want it. Cool. And if you want to like learn how to do this sort of stuff, then it's not for live stream. It's another video. Like I said, I've got the JD-XI manager videos on my channel. Go check them out. If you've got Windows PC or a Surface even, you can use that. If you've got a Mac, you can use this Akai JD-XI editor, and then you can make your own patches on here. Much easier than menu diving. There are some knobs and controls here. So this is basically a little bit of control here. There's effects, filter, amp, LFO, envelope has got one knob, which really shits me. That's why these editors are beneficial. If you do have a JD-XI, just remember it's not a synth that is going to please you for being knobby. It's going to be a synth that pleases you because of all the guts that's inside here that Roland have just feature packed this thing. Remember, it's 4-part multi-timbral. You've got 2 digital parts, an analog mono synth, which is a true analog mono synth, and you've also got an ACB drum machine, which includes TR8, TR09. They're actually pretty good. Is it a luscious pad monster? Yeah. It's like the supernatural synth that you get on all of those high-end Roland Bromplers. It's, you know, it's huge. It's got a great sound. In fact, if you go to digital synth here, and then you go to strings pad, see how you got this kind of big knob here and it's got all these sections. You've got, this is the first patch is JP8. No, that's not very loud, is it? There's a heap of patches in here. So you just hit this tone up button. It's got Juno strings. And you know, you can find these patches a lot quicker through this editor. Come back to mouse. My mouse is not playing. So in here I can keep changing patches on here, and it will load what's in here. So yeah, it can be a monster for pads, but it's digital, you know. And the analog synth is not a pad, it's a mono synth. So there you go. David, no, you can't export them as MIDI files. It does have, so the sequencer on here it's okay. There's guys who have made like some pretty cool, you know, cover songs on this. I think I did an example of it in one of my live streams. So yeah, kind of you can. So you can each part has its own sequence, and then in each sequence can have you know, multiple pages. So there's more than 16 steps. There's I think 32 steps per sequence, and then you can have what do you call it? I'm trying to think of the name. I don't think it's called song, but it's kind of like chained sequences. You can do that, but you can't export them as MIDI files. So, hi Charlie. Okay, so the question from Charlie is: are the filter, amp, and LFO also digital? Okay, so there's 2 different filters on here. There's a digital filter and an analog filter. Now with the JD-XI, you can only use the analog filter on the analog monosynth. Okay, and you can't use the digital filter on it. You can only use analog filter or nothing. With the digital side, you can only use the digital filter, but the digital filter is multi-part, so you've got low, high, band, and a package filter, or nothing. You can't cross. I don't know. Does the JD-XI, that's the bigger version of this, does that allow you to cross filter? I can't remember. I think it's one of the features of it, isn't it? So on this one you can't. So digital only uses digital, and analog only uses analog. That's for the filter. Now all the rest of the stuff for the digital side is all digital. The whole thing. It's the Roland Supernatural engine, and if you know anything about the Roland Supernatural engine, they're massive. Each synth has what they call 3 partials, and in each partial you've got oscillators, filters, LFOs. It's huge. In fact, it's so big that it looks kind of something like that. That's what the digital synth looks like. It's massive. And that's there's 2 of those digital synths on there. So that's all digital. But on the analog synth, from what I've been told by Roland, is the whole analog signal is analog. So that means the amp, the LFO, everything, sorry, I won't say LFO. The amp is a VCA. The filter is a VCO. VCF, and the oscillator is a DCO. So it's all analog, unless you're using the effects. The LFO may be digital, I don't know, but don't forget the LFO doesn't affect the actual sound, it's only modulating the sound. So technically an LFO can be digital, and a lot of synths have got digital LFOs and people don't even realize it. So just remembering what part you're in and what it does. So what Roland was saying is, on the analog synth side of this, it's 100% analog unless you're using the sound, that is, unless you're using the onboard effects. And you can turn the effects off, just like this. So now there's no effects running. And that's just the analog sound coming out. And I don't know if you can hear that or not. Can you guys hear that sound? I should be double checking my audio coming through. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Yeah, you can hear that. Cool. Alright, so I mean, this, in terms of getting this thing connected and running and everything, I think we've covered it. So, cool. Whoever's thinking about a first synth, I reckon this is actually probably a good candidate for a first synth. When you think about it, look, it's got, the only thing that's probably bad about it is this tiny little keyboard, but it depends on what type of, first synth questions are always subjective to the situation that the person's in. If you're a piano player and you want to buy a synthesizer, don't get one of these with many keys, because you're going to hate it because you're a keyboardist, right? But if you're a guitar player and you just want to smash out some sounds, this might be perfect for you, because you don't really care what size keys they are, unless you're like me and you've got big fat fingers. But anyway, I think that's kind of subjective anyway. So, all right, so where were we? We were looking at JD-XI. Let's turn this OK editor off and turn Chrome off. Okay, now let's go back to Ableton Suite. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is the first time I have ever used Ableton Live 10, literally in front of you. So the few people that are watching this live stream are probably going to be seeing my personal reaction to Ableton Live 10. I know it's been out for a while, but I don't want to get into negatives or anything, but yeah, it's kind of how do I say it? It costs money for me to buy Ableton. I don't get given stuff for free here, like some people on YouTube. It costs money for me to have Ableton, and when they brought Ableton 10 out, for me to upgrade from Ableton 9 Suite to Ableton 10 Suite, it was going to cost me something like $419 Australian, and I'd only just paid for Ableton 10 Suite about a year and a half or something before that, and I didn't really feel like spending another $400 and something when I've only just paid a whole bunch of money to them, which I thought was kind of a bit, I don't know. I didn't think the update was worth the money, but recently they've just announced that the update has been discounted, so I got it for about $200 and something, which I thought, okay, it's time to get it now. And who knows, there might be an even cheaper way to get it, but for now, $200 for me was okay. Now, what I've just done just now is I've put a song that I've just recently produced, and I've never ever opened this song before in Ableton 10. This was an Ableton 9 song, so let's just have a listen to this and see if it works. Okay, that's working fine. So it's, it's backwards compatible. Yeah. The interface is pretty much the same. So I mean, for me, the reason why I waited, I think I'm justified in waiting. I don't think this thing's groundbreakingly, massively different to Ableton 9. So yeah, who here has got Ableton 9 and who here has got Ableton 10? Just out of curiosity, just quick comment in chat and let us know whether you're using Ableton, and if you're not using Ableton, what are you using as your DAW? So 888 Berg's asking about the capture feature. Not yet, mate. This is literally the first time I have touched this. I do know what you're talking about though, because it was it's a big feature of 10 that basically it sort of constantly records. The way I understand it works, constantly records, and if you forget to record, it will you can actually, if you do something that will sound really cool, you can actually use it even though you might not have hit record. That's what you're talking about, isn't it? 888 Berg's talking about the capture button in 10. Charlie's talked about updating to 10 from 9. Michael B's got an older version he doesn't use. He's a Cubase person. Michael, were you on the channel earlier when I was showing Studio One? Let me know if you were on earlier when I was showing Studio One, or if you've seen the new Studio One from Presonus, because I think it's quite closely related to Cubase, personally. Yeah. So I think, in terms of DAWs, I think there's a personal thing. Yeah, let me just get our main channel up, and we'll take off our JD-XI and we'll go here so we can talk and look at each other at the same time. Okay, so Chris says he's been using traction waveform. Okay. So Michael's saying that he hasn't seen Studio One. So let's, for Michael's sake, this has actually only just come out. Studio One's been out for years. This is version 4.5 we're talking about specific. Only just been released 3 days ago. So I'm going to close Ableton 10. And I'm going to launch Studio One. Don't worry about those little errors, they're just to do with VSTs. Right now it's spinning up a... Whoa, there we go, cut the audio off for a second. Cool, I'll just load a previous project. This is just really for the benefit of Michael, so he can see what Studio One looks like. I'll go full screen for him. So there's Studio One, and this is a kind of like a mixed view where you've got these are kind of VST instruments. So these are MIDI tracks here, and you can double click on them and you can edit them. There's a piano roll here. You can view the mixer, the editor. There's also a browser over on the right hand side. It's got a massive amount of stuff that it comes with that Presonus provide, plus you can also load all your standard VSTs and things like that in there as well. So yeah, it's pretty nice, and I kind of feel that this, if you like Cubase and you like Ableton, I feel that this is kind of somewhere in the middle between the two. So, and it's also pretty cheap. So that's just for Michael. One of the things I love about Cubase, Logic, Studio One is down the bottom you've got a proper transport. See how it's got all this information across the bottom. You've got the time, the bars, the seconds, all of that information is there. But in Ableton, they still haven't got that information on the transport. Even in 10, I was hoping that they'd put something in 10. And 888, you might be able to jump in and tell us if they've actually added that in. I'm just going to go back to Ableton. Maybe I can run both at the same time. Ableton 10. I wonder if it will let me, or if my Mac will crap itself. There we go. So see up here, the transport doesn't have very much information up there. It's just very, very minimalistic. And so some people like that, but I like that. I like to know time and, you know, milliseconds and stuff like that, as well as bars. You've got to, I reckon you've got space on there to use it. You should. But look at the difference between the interfaces. Let me just load up that song I had before. I'm probably going to make my Mac crash here. Yeah. So it's not going to like loading some of the VSTs because Studio One's got hold of them. So there's the interface. So there's kind of like the mixer, and there's the, you know, arrangement. And then on Studio One, you've got, I reckon you've got a much, much better piano roll editing feature. To me, that is so much more intuitive. And also this has got, I forgot to mention, this has also got Melodyne in it, built in. It's free, it comes with Melodyne. And it's also got this chord channel up the top. You can see how it's got chords. So when you're actually making, you know, you're producing in here and you want to kind of keep things based on a chord, you can enable this to follow. You can turn it off as well. You don't have to have it. But I actually find that actually really, really useful. So for me, I'm kind of new to Studio One, and I'm kind of getting to know it because I've been using Ableton, you know, for many, many, many years. But there's a lot of things I'm liking about this, and I'm not going to say I don't want to use Ableton anymore. I'm not going to say I'd rather use this instead of. I'm not doing that. I'm going to be using both. But I feel there's some things that this does really, really well. So Charlie's saying before he used Ableton, he used Reason. I used Reason for a bit. Not bad. With the native instruments stuff like Machine and Tractor, you know, for the DJ sort of stuff as well. Yeah, it was good for that. Michael's saying the songwriter tools in Cubase are good. Yeah, definitely. You know, for me, I've never ever. I used to own Cubase years and years ago when it was kind of in the 90s or whatever it was, when it was made by Steinberg, and then when I got out of music for a couple of, you know, about a decade or so, and I got back into it again, and I had Ableton. So I used to use Cakewalk and I used to use Cubase in the very old days, and Cubase now is really, really cool DAW, but I've never been able to justify the money. For me, I just find it way overpriced. Doesn't have an arranger track like Cubase. Well, that's your arranger. That's your arranger view there. And that's your edit view underneath, and then you've got the mix. These are your views. So you've got an editor, an inspector, a browser, a track list. There's your track list on the left. Additional views. Arrangement. I mean, there's some stuff in here I wouldn't even know. It's massive. Like, seriously, this thing is massive. Anyway, yeah. I mean, Cakewalk. That was so cool. I don't know if you guys know, but Cakewalk. You can still get Cakewalk. It's actually it's free. Do I have it on my computer? Yeah, it's by a company called BandLab. So I think Roland stopped making it, and then BandLab took it over, and you can get it for free. And one of the things that you can get with the Cakewalk, the version that BandLab have got, is it will run any of the old Cakewalk files that you used back in the 90s. It's crazy. Just loading it now just to have a quick look. Yep, so it's just running. Cool. I don't know if I can show you that because it's on this computer here. So yeah, just check out BandLab. Okay, let's have a look here under our browser. bandlab.com. These guys. And where is Cakewalk? Okay, easiest just to search Google because their website was useless. There you go. That's how you get Cakewalk. So check that out. It's for Windows, by the way, not for Mac. But it's actually pretty good. One thing I will say about it, it actually runs really nicely on a Microsoft Surface. If any of you got Microsoft Surface, this actually runs really well. So does Ableton, by the way, too. I don't know about Ableton 10 yet. I haven't tried that, but Ableton 9 runs quite well on a Surface. Yeah, do a vid, mate, on Cubase. I really dig Cubase. I just can't justify the money. Have you ever managed to get Ableton Link working with two laptops? Yep. In fact, I've got Ableton Link working with my MPC Live and running on the Mac that's next to me. So there's Ableton there. So you click Ableton Link once you've got it up and running, and then I've had it running on the MPC Live, a laptop, and on here at the same time, all working fine. Like specifically having two laptops, well, yes, because this is a Mac Mini. It's like a laptop, and the other laptop that I had running was Windows. So, and it was running Ableton in Windows, and this is running in Mac. Plus, I had the MPC Live. So technically, it's like running three devices. Worked fine. No major issues. The only thing I don't like about Ableton Link is it's not the tightest of clocks. If you've ever touched modular, you'll never ever see clocks the same again. Who here has modular and has experienced the beauty of voltage clocks? You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah. So for those who are in chat today and haven't got any of these three things that I'm showing today, whether it's Ableton Live Suite 10, Studio One 4.5, or even we were looking at the JD-XI before, let me know if you've got any questions. We've still got 5 or 10 minutes to go on the stream. We can nut out some questions. It's nice talking with you guys anyway and getting your opinions. And the other thing I guess we could talk about too is how has everyone coped from that enormous super booth from a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty huge. There was a lot of stuff that came out of that. I would have to say, without a doubt, that would have to have been the most polyphonic synthesizer announcement release in one event that I've ever seen in history. There was so many polyphonic synthesizers released at that super booth. It was incredible. And I'll just rattling off a couple off the top of my head just to give you an idea. There was obviously the Novation Summit. There was that Super 6 thing, which is a 12 voice poly by Udo. There were some Eurorack 16 voice polyphonic synthesizer modules. There was heaps. Even that mechanical thing was polyphonic. So it was like whoever's into polyphonic synthesizers would have had their little appetite quenched from that. We're living in a pretty good time. Just think about, with 2 years ago, we were probably begging for Moog to release a polyphonic version, which they hadn't done for 30 years probably. So they brought the Moog 1 out. Yeah, okay, it's out of reach for many of us because of the price, but if you really want something like that, and you can now go buy that, with analog polyphonic synthesizers, Behringer's brought the DeepMind 12 out. That's so cheap. 12 voice analog polyphonic synthesizer. Before that came out, there was that Pava or whatever it was called. The one that came out before that was kind of like a desktop module. And and since then you've had Korg bring out the mini log, and now they've brought out the Pro log, and there's heaps of Dave Smith or sequential synths. So in terms of polyphonic analog world, we are absolutely full bottled now. I think there's a lot out there, and I think Behringer are going to be releasing the OBXA clone soon, the Oberheim clone soon, the UBXA. So there'll be another one. Triple Eight Berg's asking, what synth or groovebox do you own could really excel at playing live? Groovebox, I've got quite a few grooveboxes. I used to use them more probably 5 years plus ago, and I'm kind of less using them now. But I mean, even still, I bought the Electro 2 that came out by Korg a few years ago, the sampler version. I also bought the circuit when that came out. I've still got all of that stuff sitting in a cupboard. Don't use it very much. In terms of groove boxes, the MPC Live is technically a sampler, but also a groove box in a way, because you can launch clips and things from it as well. I think that's still probably the king live performance device for me. I mean, I've used it heaps. The circuit's pretty good too, but it's just not deep enough. So yeah, I think, Chris, there's a lot of options, yeah, but actually don't get overwhelmed by it. I think what you should do now is you should go and just research what sort of sound it is that you're after, and be picky now. I think that's what we've got now as consumers. We've got the ability now with the polysynth choice to be picky. If you're into programming synths, make sure your choice has got lots of LFOs and modulation options. You know, that's why that Summit is going to probably be a great, because the modulation options on that thing is killer. The negative side of it is the digital, you know, the way that oscillators are generated digitally. That's the only negative side to it, but the thing sounds amazing. Really, at the end of the day, do you really need floaty, detuney type oscillators, which you can emulate in computers anyway? Michael really wants a JD-XI. Yeah, they're good. They're a great bash around, you know, beginner level synth that can go deep if you need to. And also, you know, it doesn't take up very much space either. I mean, this thing, very small footprint. You know, there's my hand. It's not big at all. That's sitting on my desk here. That's sitting on top of one of those, you know, those monitor stands that you get from a computer shop, and it's not even taking up the width of it. There's still, you know, so it's desktop. It's great, and for DJ type small setups where you've got not much room, it's perfect for that sort of stuff. You want to see some sound patches from the JD-XI? Yeah, okay. What would you like? I mean, I can just show you the patches from what's programmed in here. So what you do is, where are we? Okay, so and can we hear this? We've got all this stuff open. Hang on, let me close off all our DAWs. Just give me one sec. I'm just closing off all the DAWs. Hope I don't kill my Mac while I'm at it. Okay. Now, don't want to get this too loud. Just while I'm getting this set up, I'm just trying to make sure that the audio is coming through loud enough. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear this loud enough, or if you'd like me to make it louder. Now, what I'll do is I'll mute my mic, so all you can hear is just this going straight through to the mixer. You're not hearing me making clicky sounds. But just before, I want to hear the word that you can hear it okay loud enough. Okay. So just what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go see how it says 001 toxic bass 1. I'm just going to hit tone plus, and I'm just going to muck around a little bit with each of the patches, play with the filter and go to the next one. And I'll just keep an eye on the chat as I'm doing it so you guys can make comments. I don't know if you guys want me to keep going or not, but there's some patches. There's stacks in here. Just remember it's analog, so you can make your own. It's not hard to make your own analog patch. You know, it's very, very basic synth. It's one oscillator with 3 different waveforms to select from here. So you've got sawtooth, square, and triangle, I think it is. And then you've got a sub oscillator, which is 1 octave or 2 octaves when 2 octaves flashes, or none. And then you've got pulse width. You've got a standard low pass filter. The low pass filter on this does not sound like a low pass filter from an SH101, by the way, if you're wondering. I think it sounds in terms of Roland filters, probably closer to the filters of their last analog synths that they made, probably like a JX8P type filter, maybe somewhere around there. But maybe not as good, I don't know. But like anything analog, it sounds good with effects. So you can make, you know, that little demo I did before with all the patches, it was just pure, no effects. Well, I'm peaking there. Wow. I mean, that sounds pretty cool. So, you know, it's not, I mean, how much is a JD-XI now? How much are they? Like, you know, where do you guys shop? Thoman? Sweetwater? JD-XI from Thoman is 435 euros. And how much is it from Sweetwater? I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 450, 499 or something like that. From you go 499 at Sweetwater. So you know, between 430 to 500 bucks. So if you're in Australia, you can get one from Store DJ for $639. So that's Australian dollars. So right now, $1 Australian to US dollar conversion is 69 cents. So there you go. So it's $639. Remember, we pay GST in Australia too. So $639 divided by 0.69. No, other way around. Sorry, 639 times by 0.69. Yeah, and then you add GST to that. $440 US. So that's cheaper in Australia at the moment than it is at Sweetwater. How cool is that? Actually, finding a lot of stuff cheap in Australia at the moment. I bought a Strymon Magneto for my little Eurorack thing back there. Really, really cheap. Yeah, Thoman's good. I've used a couple of places overseas. I know I live in Australia, so Store DJ is my local, but in and there's other music places here in Australia as well. But overseas, I've used Thoman, I've used Gear for Music in the UK, and I've used Sweetwater in the US, and a few other places in the US actually as well. It just depends if you can't get gear here. The same with you guys. I mean, you're in different countries. There's gear that you can't get in your country. You're going to have to order it in overseas, just like I do. So it's no different. The only difference for me, though, is I have to pay massive freight charges because I live, like if you're looking at the planet of Earth, I'm right down the bottom in the corner on the western bottom corner of Western Australia. So, you know, it's remote. It's very, very difficult to get stuff down here. Cheaply anyway. But recently, my city where I live, they've got a flight now that goes directly between my city and London in the UK, and it only takes about 16 or 17 hours for that flight to go backwards and forwards, just one way though, 16, 17 hours. So they're chucking parcels on it, and I can have a parcel from England within 1 or 2 days. It's insane how quick you can get stuff now from the UK. It's brilliant, which is why I use Gear for Music over in the UK, because they chuck it on the plane. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, look, the JD-XI is cool. But the reason why I showed it this week was because there was one guy who was in chat before. He wanted to know how to get it all connected, and I showed, you know, how bad it can be. Even for me, I had to restart my Mac in the middle of a live stream. I had to install a driver. I couldn't work out why the device wasn't working on it, and then I realized that you've got to go and and you know there's two different USB settings on this. So if you go into menu and then you go system and then you go to, I don't know if you guys can see this. See how this under MIDI you've got USB drive and it says vendor. If you've got it set to the other one, which is generic, okay, so if it's set to vendor, it will use, you can use this as a MIDI slash audio device and over the USB connection. If you set it to generic, it just sends class compliant MIDI. So yeah, a lot of people don't realize that little settings in there. But by default, when you buy these and pull them out of the box, it's set to vendor by factory, so it shouldn't be a problem. And when you're on your Mac screen or your Windows screen, in Windows you'd probably want to have a what do you call it? ASIO driver. When you're on your Mac, if you go audio MIDI setup, you can see there's the driver running there. So that's how you'll know if it's running or not, if it's installed. It'll be there. So a lot of people don't realize that. So yeah, JD-XI. When you think about it, what, $400 for all of that? Let's do the math. I mean, that's $100 per part. $100 for a digital synth. Then you got another digital synth. Then you got a drum machine. Then you got an analog synth for another $100. You know, that's the way I look at it. And plus, you've got a sequencer, you've got effects, you've got arpeggiator, you've got a vocoder as well. It's, you know, it's a no-brainer. Would you guys agree that that's probably one of the best value for money synths on the market, or do you think something else is better? What about the Novation Ultra Nova or Mini Nova, or one of the Korgs? What do you guys think? We're all thinking, who's going to be first to say something different? Looking in the chat room. Charlie thinks the price is okay. Yeah. Ultra Nova. Yeah. I think the price is okay, but I think it's awesome when it's on sale, and they do go on sale. So end of financial year's coming up. So you know, who was it that said that they wanted to get a JD-XI? Was that you, Charlie? Yeah. So wait till June when the end of financial year sales start, which is only a couple of weeks away. And they'll probably, I'm not saying I know anything, because I don't, but they'll probably come down in price. I actually want to get a Behringer Neutron, one of those module things. Funnily enough, I actually want to get it because it's got some cool patch points on there that I'm going to use for my Eurorack setup over here. It's got like sample and hold and attenuators and clock dividers and stuff like that that's in there, which is pretty cool. And I'm just waiting for it to come down in price. $200 for a used one is exceptional. Just be careful if you're getting a black one. I notice with mine's white. I've got one of those limited edition white ones. I don't have any problems with the reflection. But if you do get a black one, they can scratch. The black surface scratches easily. And you can get like a Roland actually, I don't know if they sell it or they give them to you or you have to apply for it, but you can get like a nylon sticker overlay for it. Red face, yeah. Yeah, red one looks alright. I think the red one and the white one looks better than the black one. You reckon the DeepMind 6 is more for the price? I don't know. I mean, the DeepMind 6 makes a beautiful Juno sound, and some other stuff. It's got a massive amount of effects in it. like they've just gone to town with all the effects in it. I've got a DeepMind 12, which is the same thing. It's just more voices. One thing that really annoys me about that synth is the second oscillator. Like it's not really a true second oscillator. If they put a proper second oscillator in it, with a sub oscillator and all that sort of stuff, if they did it properly like that, that thing would have been a lot more deeper than the name itself. But I mean, look, it sounds, if you're after that Junos can sound beautiful. So if you're after that Juno sound, the DeepMind 6 can get you that sound, and more, because it's got all those effects. The modulation side of it is pretty big as well, so it is a pretty good synth. Just remember though that it's monotimbral, which means it's only going to be able to do one patch at a time. It's limited to 6 voices, if you get the 12 voice, it's limited to 12 voices. Yeah, you can do mono and unison and all that sort of stuff, but when you're thinking about it from a point of view where you want to sort of punch something out as a performance, the digital synths will kill it, because they always will have a lot more voices. They'll be multi-timbral. They'll have, maybe not better effects, because I think the DeepMind 6 has got really good effects, but yeah. Have I played a Nord lead 4 or an A1? Yes, both. The Clavier Nord stuff is, like a player's keyboard. They're really nice. I've never owned one though, because for me, if you were a regular performer in a band and you just wanted to quickly pull out sounds, I think they're definitely a great performer's synth, or rompler, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I don't need one. I don't think there's anything that they bring to me other than being really well made and a great performer. Michael's saying me. I don't know what Michael means by me, but anyway, fair enough. All right. Well, anyway, I think we've probably exhausted as much as we can about the JD-XI, and I think we had a bit of a look around at the Studio One 4.5. I think what we're going to do with the Studio One 4.5 is I only just downloaded that and installed it tonight, and I thought we'd have a quick look at it. Maybe we can revisit that as a video. I'll do separately in the channel, and you guys, if you want to watch it, you can watch it. And don't forget, I'll definitely be back on next Saturday. So, like I said, I'm sorry I missed out last Saturday. So I'll definitely be back next Saturday. The last Saturday was only because we had an election here in Australia, so it was a bit hard to plan the show and get everything up and running for you guys anyway. So other than that though, I'll probably leave the stream here. Yeah, Charlie's just agreeing with me with that DeepMind stuff. So yeah, I'll leave the stream here. I think we've been going long enough, about an hour and a half or so. So thanks very, very much all of you guys for joining in. And it's starting to get some regular guys in here, which is really, really much appreciated. I really appreciate everyone coming in and saying saying hi and joining me in chat, because that's what I enjoy the most. I would love to get someone on Skype on this as well. We'll probably plan on doing that soon. I just haven't had anyone put their hand up yet. Checked out your sequencer playlist. Add more synths to that. It was great. I don't know what you mean by that, but okay. Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. You mean like on my YouTube channel, the sequencer playlist? 888 Berg. Waiting for him to type. This is the wonders of live streaming and delays and lags. See what he says. The suspense is killing us. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know what he means now. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that, mate. Anyway, look, I'll leave it at that, and you know, I'm around on social media, on Facebook and things like that. So don't forget to. You can always chat to me during the week. So yeah, we'll wish you all the best of the weekend, and we'll see you next Saturday. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.